Greetings, friends of the channel Seekers of Harmony. During our last exploration, we made an attempt to see the ways that food influences our spirit, mind, emotions. And this time, we're excited to see the importance of food through a biological perspective. It seems that same food has different effects on the body that consumes it. And I'm referring to body of the same age, race, but also with the same state of health. Based on this observation, would it be wrong to conclude that food has a different effect from person to person? And if so, why is this happening?
This is a question many people ask me in my sessions, and I can answer with relative confidence and based on what is valid now. Because this is something that is being researched and will always be researched in order to know better. Okay? So, certain types of food do not suit all people. Listen. Certain types of food do not suit all people. It is preferable to adapt our food to our individual needs and body. After all, this is evolving, and as the saying goes, whoever evolves does not stop getting better. So, biology and nature itself have an inviolable law which says that whatever does not evolve is doomed to die. Everybody wishes to survive, so we cannot but follow evolution. Because of that, we should look at individual diet plans and not at specific diets. Doing so will help us to function optimal, to be socially integrated, but also to maintain a good and healthy body and lifestyle.
How does food affect libido? And should it have an effect? Is it equal regardless of age?
Everyone understands that being young has its advantages. A younger body can assimilate changes much better than someone who is older. While it is impossible to continue to grow, I wish to claim that getting older is optional, as it can be the state of our minds. In that sense, it is basically our choice. Both exercise and being positive help us to stay young. And now to the next part of your question. Certainly, the Western way of life and diet seems to affect libido, and as a consequence for the people who follow this way of life, which is rich in fats and simple sugars, their body won't to able to digest and process it properly. In by that, give them the efficient energy. Not only bad food, also fast food is wrong choice as it is also bad fuel for our body. So why not choose a better food so that we can be functional also in regards to our personal moments?
In what way affects food the quality of sleep?
Sleep and libido are interconnected. Besides having an effect on libido, food definitely affects sleep because it has to do with rest, regenerate, so that we can perform properly. My simple statement is that food affects all areas of our lives, both social and personal. A good diet ensures adequate levels of serotonin, which makes us feel in control and well. In this way, and by moving towards the last hours of the day, we ensure the necessary levels of melatonin, helping us to rest. So, not only psychologically but also practically, the right food is helping us to sleep faster and better. Here, I wish to share an important note. From 11 p.m. to 5 a.m. are for millions of years the hours that man, as a biological being, has been accustomed to resting. During this time, the so called growth hormone is produced in high levels, which restores what the human body has consumed during the day and helps us to wake up and be functional again. It helps us once more to go not only for the hunting of food but also for the hunting knowledge.
Do we eat more food than we need? And is access to more food the main cause of obesity?
Our body operates every day with different conditions. In other words, it's not always the same levels of energy it needs to receive in order to function properly. It is observed that in recent years we have an increase on the caloric load we consume, but depending on the lifestyle, the amount of exercise and mobility that one has during the day, but also one's own personal medical profile. Each of us has his own specific needs. We have noticed that at times of infections or war, when food was not available, societies did not evolve culture. This fact limited man and led him to even more bad choices and disasters. This underlines once more the importance of having a full belly, but not more and equally no less than we should. The right balance is determined by our daily needs in addition to our own body in terms of height, weight, age, but also the environment in which we are. It is of great importance to make the right choices and not to be spontaneous.
What is autophagy and how does it affect our body and our health, especially if there is a pre existing disease? Furthermore, is autophagy preventing a possible disease, and if so, how?
In order to grasp the beginning of the thread here and to understand what autophagy is beyond its definition, we would need a whole new chapter to analyze in depth this issue. So, let me just simply say that the higher and more advanced cells of our body actually eat themselves so they can survive. The reason for this action to take place is the lack of food and increased stress. It is certainly a way and a choice that we can apply, but not before we study it and make it our property both spiritually and practically.
The Mediterranean diet is considered a healthy diet, with the reasoning that the raw materials, and especially the vegetables, as well as the olive oil, are of good quality. To this contributes also the way we cook, and I believe the social way of consuming food in the Mediterranean region. Nevertheless, we observe increased rates of obesity. Is the Mediterranean diet good after all?
I'm immediately thinking of two answers to your question, one historical and one cultural. The cultural has to do with the influences that the Mediterranean people now have on following a Western way of life, which is not assimilated into food like the Mediterranean diet. We practically have Mediterranean products, but with a Western way of consumption. We should remember that in order to have a good basis for our food, then the access to good product is crucial. But besides that, one must find the right balance in regards to what, when, how much or little, based on one's own body references one eats. The other is the psychological. The larger body or bodies with more pounds we witness are also influenced by the DNA. In Greece, for example, the many events that took place limited the access to food, so the DNA evolved to what we can call camel DNA. And this has to do mainly with easy or not easy access to food. It is the intelligence of the body that wants to survive even for long periods of time without food. So, the tendency to have increased belly fat is also developed due to the reality of not having access to food. The body does not care about the looks when it works to avoid situations that can be fatal for itself. What we observe in the Mediterranean body type is a story of survival and not just in the context of a biological evolution.
It is believed that some combinations of ingredients are not ideal. Can such combinations affect the overall quality of our meal? And further on, can such combination have a negative health effect?
After the discovery of fire, humans were increasing and evolving their abilities in cooking, and they proceed to some combinations that we would not have imagined before. So, the fact is that some combinations are not considered biologically suitable simply because they limit some nutrients to be absorbed by our body. One such example is very common simultaneous consumption of legumes with dairy products. This is a problem because, for example, iron rich lentils comes into chemical neutralization as a reaction to the dairy product we eat. This is happening because they are of different nature. The one is acidic and the other basic. Or to simplify it even more, they have different levels of acidity. Yes, we should be aware of the ingredients we combine during cooking or eating. This was just a simple example with an emphasis on the negative effect, but there are also cases that allow us to ensure the best nutritional score for our food.
With reference to the saying, big eyes, small mouth, I wonder if we have become slaves to our eyes or perhaps our mouth. Also, what is your opinion about the prevailing perception that being thin is being healthy?
From my point of view, and in terms of the saying, I would agree on the saying, but I want to emphasize that one should not take this as a reference. Okay, to me, it is important to have a good balance in regard to the food we consume. Sometimes influenced by the advertisements as well as from the availability of food, we get hungry by seeing and not according to what we really need. So, yes, we can say that we become slaves of our eyes. When this happens, we are activating our entire system that wants to prepare itself for the meal. You can easily see this by becoming aware of the increased production of saliva or the mood you are suddenly in. That mechanism is also a major reason why we at times feel hungry without really being hungry. Yes, we can become slaves of our mouth as well as for our eyes, but it is far from impossible to manage it. That is actually a nice opportunity to see if we are seekers, not only in regard to our own physical condition but also our spirit. As for the idea that lean people are healthier, I will make it clear that no, lean people are not always healthier. Let me explain. Recent research has shown that obese patients, without this being the correct term, have better health scores in relation to cardiovascular disease, not only in relation to individuals with normal weight, but also individuals which are skinny. But, and here is a very important point, these individuals do not exercise at all. So, what's absolutely worth to know is that an obese person who exercises can be healthier than a lean person who does not exercise at all. We can note this as something to remember in our discussions but also apply it in our daily lives. Seekers of harmony, our goal should be not only to eat properly, but also to provide ourselves with the right environment as well as to move and to be active. Join and enjoy.